Coach, thanks so much for doing this and taking the time and what is a very unique and strange circumstance. And before we talk basketball, let's talk about what's way more important, and that is keeping everybody safe and healthy and following all the mandates that are really for everybody's good.
Yeah, no question about it. I think when you think of coaches, we live in a really small world, and our schedule, we know our schedule down to a T every day of every year, what we're doing at that moment. And this has obviously put a wrench in that. And it's also given us an unbelievably bigger perspective of what's going on in the world. And obviously we're very respectful of and grateful for greater minds, starting with Governor Inslee, who's dictated and again has greater perspective on not just our little world of basketball and X's and O's, but truly life and death situations for people. And we are very respectful of the mandates and social distancing and the things that we need to do to protect ourselves and obviously to protect others. And it's not perfect for anybody, but it's certainly the most important thing at this time.
Yeah, the structure certainly helps. And now let's pivot a little bit here. You increased your win total this year. You had a big comeback against Colorado. Help put in perspective, now that you've had some time to process what the year was and how you feel like you improved and then what you want to get even better at.
Oh, gosh. I feel like we did some really good things this year. Year two of changing a program and changing a culture and trying to add players and the people that are running your system are a little bit further advanced and understand what you're trying to do. And I think we saw some of that. I think the big thing for us is I think we're growing in our discipline and we're growing in our commitment to how we want to play and how we want to practice and how we want to be better teammates and better competitors on a day-to-day basis. Unfortunately, we had a schedule that was probably a little bit higher level than we needed, and we didn't see the wins as many as I think we should have or could have if we had a little lesser schedule against us in the non-conference in particular. But I think it's just the process that we're really convinced and convicted toward and we're going to stick with. We know what we have to do to improve ourselves. We know we have to recruit better athletes and better players in some positions. We know and we have to grow and develop the players that are in our program. And I love where we are. I love the competitiveness. I love how the players train and how they want to get better. I think we showed glimpses of that this year. But I also understand that, to do it right, we have to have a great foundation, and we're not going to shortchange that. And we're going to commit to being what we need to be on a day-to-day basis, from here until the next season starts. But a lot of positives. Not as many on the scoreboard, but the groundwork's being laid and the foundation is being set, and I think we can really build on that quickly now. You
touched on the schedule, 15 ranked opponents, half the schedule against the top 25.
It really was more than I wanted. Again, the Virgin Island trip was once in a lifetime you want to take your kids to. At the time we signed up for it, we did not know we would be playing Baylor, South Carolina, and Indiana. Again, 3 opponents that we didn't need that early in the season, but learned a lot. The only regret I have in that, it's not playing those guys. It's not that we want to have a great schedule. My regret is, if we had won more games, and everything hadn't happened the way it did. The idea was getting into postseason and trying to get into a WNIT postseason opportunity by having a 500 record. And obviously those are things that we have to determine in scheduling and what can our team handle. And at the same time, let them be exposed to great tournaments and going, outside the continental U.S. and things like that. But a little bit too much, but I think we're going to tone it down this next year, and I think we'll be better for that.
What happened in the Colorado game, the 15-point comeback, the 28-point quarter?
Oh, I just think we had moments like that in almost every game we played. We had a little bit more resiliency, and I think that's the one thing that within our program, the one thing that we just haven't quite gotten over the hump with is, we haven't been a winning program. And everyone in our program basically, especially the seniors, they've never had much of a winning tradition. And so we got in a lot of close games, and I'm not sure they were completely convinced that we could win those. And I think that's a thing that we've got to continue to do when we recruit. We've got to recruit players that are coming from winning programs, that win state championships, that are on national teams all over the world, and are used to winning and expect to win. But I think there were moments in every game that we had with ball moved. We were unselfish. Obviously, more people than just Bobby or Nell scored the basketball for us, got a little bit more consistency, and didn't hurt ourselves by what we did either on the defensive end or the offensive end. And, had a couple of magical moments like that. That was a game where I just loved our resiliency and our competitiveness. And again, it shows we had glimpses, we had moments. Just learning how to sustain those was something and is something we've got to continue to build on.
You mentioned a couple of standout all-pack seniors there, and Bobby and Chanel Molina. They had really special years in individual ways, and had moments that helped you beat Sweet Cal and get some wins that increased from year to year.
Right, and I know people are looking around going, "What in the world are you going to do without those two?" Two phenomenal players, two players that are going to be in the record books forever. Two of the best players that will ever play at Washington State. Two unbelievably great offensive players. I look at them a little bit more in the sense that they were really great players that were able to create their own shot. And I don't think we'll replace that dimension. How do you replace someone that can score with the ball in their hands like Nell could or Bobby can and could? So we have to do it a little bit different with what we have coming in. I think maybe what we're going to replace that with is a little bit more playmakers that create shots for other people. And again, we have a really good player out of Canada that's coming in that can stretch the defense as a post player. So she'll play a little bit more traditional, but can give us a bigger, stronger body in the post game. We have a commitment, but we can't sign the kid yet. And that's a guard that is a phenomenal playmaking guard for herself and others. And again, we get Crystal Ledger-Walker into our program that set out this year. So she'll be a fifth-year senior that will play for us at the point guard spot, who is a more traditional pass-first point guard and set other people up, and a really high IQ player that's going to keep the ball moving and not get so stuck with the ball bouncing as much. So I think we're going to have to play a little different, but I think we can be really effective with the players and the personnel and the players that are in our program that can continue to grow and get better this summer.
We'll keep you for just a little bit more time here. It's one of my favorite and super random Cougar trivia questions that you and Craig Elo went to the same high school and are the only two jerseys on the wall of that high school right on each side of the basket there. What are the odds?
It is shocking. I've run into him maybe one other time when we both got inducted into the Lubbock, Texas High School Hall of Fame, I think, a few years back. But he was a couple of years older. He actually went to school with my oldest sister, same time, same age. And he was kind of the role model, role model that I watched growing up and a couple of years ahead of me. And then to watch him in the pros and I didn't, out of sight, out of mind. When you're in Texas, you didn't see Washington State much up here when he played here. But it's ironic that we end up kind of on this side of the world, and he's done what he's done in his whole career. And yeah, it goes back to a little box. We called it the box back at Monterey High School, and we're both have our numbers retired. So, but it's been fun to catch up and see him.
Pretty cool. Hey, this is another random one, kind of a not a curveball, but why aren't the men playing quarters? I mean, it's the last level of basketball that's not in quarters. It's so funny to me.
It's you're right. I think they will. I don't know if they're just a little bit more stubborn. They saw us do it 1 year ahead of them, and they're not going to turn around too fast and do it. What a great thing. And again, watch the NBA and how they advance the ball, and we can advance the ball in the last minute. It just brings so much more playmaking opportunities for you, end of game situation. I just can't imagine them not doing it. I am one of those that would like us to get the lines consistent, get the arch consistent, both men's and women's, and probably even FIBA rules. I mean, some of it just needs to get completely and totally consistent. But I think the men's coaches would just love that rule, the quarters and advancing the ball and playing that way at the end of the game. It's really added a great exciting dimension to the game. And again, I'm glad we've done it. And I think at some point, I think they're gonna trail along and do it as well.
Feels that way. I was going to ask you if you like it. It sounds like it's a positive thing.
Very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. Be well. Be safe. Thank you for this time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. I hope the same for everybody out there listening. Be safe. Let's do what we need to do and listen to the people that are way smarter than us and protect ourselves and others. So appreciate it. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Thanks, Coach.